Waiting for the morning light night never lasts forever. There was once a traveler walking alone on a long and unfamiliar road. He had started his journey full of confidence, certain of where he was going, certain of who he was. The sun had been bright, the path had been clear, and every step felt easy. But then night came. Not suddenly, not all at once, but slowly, quietly, like a shadow stretching longer and longer until it swallowed everything. The traveler kept walking, at first, but the road grew harder to see. The sounds around him changed. What once felt peaceful now felt uncertain. Every rustle in the dark felt like danger. Every step felt heavier than the last. And soon, he stopped. He looked around, but there was nothing. No light, no direction, no sign that he was still on the right path. And in that moment, a question rose inside him, one he never thought he would ask. What if I'm lost? So he sat down, right there in the middle of the road, and decided to wait. Minutes passed, then hours. The darkness didn't lift. The silence didn't break. And slowly, fear began to whisper. Maybe this is it. Maybe there is no way forward. Listen, here's the thing. The traveler didn't realize something important. He had stopped, not because the road had ended, but because he could no longer see it. And there's a difference. Now imagine this, sitting in the dark, convinced that movement is pointless, that progress is impossible, that the journey is over, simply because the light is gone. How many of us have done the same? The traveler pulled his cloak tighter, his breath shallow, his heart heavy. He began to replay every step he had taken, wondering where he had gone wrong, wondering if he had missed a sign, wondering if he had been wrong all along. And then something unexpected happened. A voice, not loud, not distant, but close, steady, and calm. Why did you stop? The traveler looked around quickly, his heart racing. Who's there? He asked. No figure appeared. No shadow moved. Just the voice again. Why did you stop? The traveler swallowed hard and replied, because I can't see the path anymore. There was a pause, and then the voice said something that would change everything. The path did not disappear, only the light did. Silence followed, but this time, it felt different. The traveler frowned, trying to understand. But how can I walk if I can't see where I'm going? And the voice answered, you were never meant to see the entire path, only the next step. Listen, let that sink in. Only the next step. Not the whole journey, not the destination, just the next step. The traveler hesitated. Every instinct in him wanted to stay where it was safe, where it was certain, even if that certainty was darkness. But something inside him, something deeper than fear, stirred. What if the voice is right, he thought. Slowly, cautiously, he stood up. His legs trembled. His hands shook. But he took one step forward. Nothing happened. No sudden light, no grand revelation, just one step, then another, and another. And as he moved, something strange began to happen. His eyes adjusted, shapes became clearer. The darkness, though still present, no longer felt impenetrable. And then, far ahead, barely visible, he saw it, a faint glow, so small it could have been imagined. But it wasn't. It was real. And with every step, it grew. The traveler's heart began to beat faster, not with fear, but with something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. He walked faster now. The glow widened, stretched, softened the darkness around him, and then, finally, morning. The sky broke open with light, gentle at first, then radiant, filling the road, revealing everything that had been hidden. The path had been there all along, unbroken, steady, leading exactly where it was meant to. The traveler stopped, not in fear this time, but in awe. And in that moment, he understood. The night had not come to end his journey. It had come to teach him how to trust. Because the truth is, the road doesn't disappear in the dark. We just forget how to walk by faith. Now listen, because this is where the story becomes yours. How many times have you stopped simply because you couldn't see the whole picture? How many times have you sat in the darkness, believing that the path had ended, when in reality, the light was just waiting to rise? The night feels long, yes. It feels endless, yes. But it is never final. Because morning is not something you create. It's something that comes no matter what. And here's the deeper truth, the one that changes everything. God doesn't always light the entire path. Sometimes he only gives you enough light for the next step, not to confuse you, not to test you, but to teach you, to trust him, even in the dark. So if you're in that place right now, sitting on the road, surrounded by uncertainty, wondering if you've lost your way, listen carefully. Stand up. Take one step, then another. Because the light you're waiting for is already on its way. The traveler stood there, breathing in the morning air, as the first rays of light touched his face. For a moment, everything felt still. Not empty, not silent, but complete. And yet, something inside him whispered, "This is not the end of the journey. Listen, because this is where the story deepens." The road stretched ahead, now fully visible in the soft glow of dawn. It looked peaceful, almost inviting, as if nothing difficult could ever happen there again. But the traveler knew better now. Because once you've walked through the night, you understand something most people don't. Morning doesn't mean the journey is over. It means you're ready for what comes next. He took a step forward, this time without hesitation. Not because he knew everything, but because he had learned something far more powerful than certainty. He had learned trust. And as he walked, the world around him seemed different. The same road, the same trees, the same sky, but his eyes had changed. Because here's the thing, the night doesn't just test you, it transforms you. The traveler walked for hours, maybe longer, and as the sun climbed higher, he began to notice something unusual. The path, once smooth, began to change. It narrowed, twisted, led into places that looked unfamiliar, even a little dangerous. And just like that, a thought crept in again. What if I lose the way again? Have you ever felt that? That moment, right after things start getting better, when fear quietly returns, whispering, what if the darkness comes back? The traveler slowed down, not stopping, but not as confident as before. And then, suddenly, the sky shifted. Clouds gathered. The light dimmed. Not night, but not fully day either. A strange in-between. And in that moment, the traveler felt it again. Uncertainty. But this time, something was different. He didn't sit down. He didn't give up. Instead, he remembered. The voice, the night, the first step. And he whispered, almost without realizing, only the next step. So he kept walking. Even as the light faded slightly, even as the path became unclear again, he moved forward. One step, then another. And here's the surprising truth, the one that changes everything. The second darkness didn't feel the same, because fear loses its power once you've faced it before. The traveler realized something incredible in that moment. The light wasn't just something outside of him anymore. It was within him. Not his own strength, not his own courage, but something placed there during the night he thought would destroy him. Faith. And as he walked through that uncertain stretch, something else happened. The clouds slowly began to part. Not all at once, not dramatically, but gently, like a curtain being pulled back. And once again, the light returned. Stronger this time, warmer, clearer, and the traveler smiled. Not because the road was easy, but because he finally understood. The journey will have many nights, but the morning always follows. Always. Now listen carefully, because this is where most people miss the truth. We think life is about reaching a place where darkness never comes again. But that's not the promise. The promise is this: that no matter how many nights you face, you will never face them alone. The traveler continued his journey, stronger, wiser, unshaken by what once would have stopped him. And as the days passed, he began to meet others along the road. Some were sitting just like he once was, lost in their own darkness. And when they asked him, how do we move forward when we can't see the way? He didn't give them a map. He didn't give them answers. He simply said, take one step, because he knew that's where the miracle begins. Now let me ask you something. What if your current struggle is not the end of your story? but the very place where your strength is being formed? What if the silence you feel is not abandonment, but preparation? What if right now, even in your uncertainty, the morning is already closer than you think? Because here's the truth, and I want you to really hear this. God doesn't waste your nights. Every tear, every question, every moment of doubt, He uses it to shape you, to strengthen you, to prepare you for a light you haven't even seen yet. So if you're walking through your own night right now, or maybe you're in that in-between where the light feels uncertain, don't stop. Don't sit down. Don't believe the lie that the road has ended. Because it hasn't. The path is still there. The light is still coming. And you are still moving forward, even if it doesn't feel like it. And one day, you'll look back, just like the traveler did, and you'll realize that the night you feared the most was the one that brought you closest to the light. So keep walking, even if it's slow, even if it's hard, even if all you can see is the next step, because that is enough, and the morning is already on its way. And as the traveler continued along the road, carrying this quiet, growing faith within him, there came a moment when the path led him to a hillside. It was peaceful there. The wind moved gently, the sky stretched wide, and for the first time since the night, he felt drawn to stop again. But this time, not out of fear, out of longing. There were others gathered there, sitting quietly, listening, and at the center stood a man, not dressed in wealth, not surrounded by power, yet there was something about him, something that made even the restless become still. The traveler didn't know his name yet, but his heart recognized him. And then the man began to speak, not loudly, not forcefully, but with a calm authority that seemed to reach deeper than words. This was Jesus Christ. And he said, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." The traveler felt those words, not just in his ears, but in his soul. Because he had mourned, he had sat in darkness, he had questioned everything, and yet here he stood, still walking, still searching. Jesus looked at the crowd, but somehow it felt like he was looking directly at him. And then he said something that would change the meaning of the night forever. "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." Listen, let that sink in. Not might have the light, not someday find the light, but will not walk in darkness. The traveler's breath caught, because suddenly everything made sense. The voice in the night, the strength to take the next step, the light that never seemed to disappear completely. It wasn't just hope, it was him. Jesus continued, "In this world, you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world." Now imagine hearing that. after walking through your darkest night. Not a promise of an easy road, not a guarantee that darkness will never come again, but something far greater, a promise that darkness does not win, ever. The traveler stepped closer, his heart pounding, his mind racing with questions, but his spirit strangely at peace. And then Jesus spoke again, this time with a gentleness that felt almost personal. Which of you, if your son asks for bread, will give him a stone? A few in the crowd shook their heads. No one, they said softly. Jesus nodded. So if you, though you are imperfect, know how to give good gifts, how much more will your Father in heaven give good things to those who ask him? The traveler closed his eyes because he remembered the nights he had prayed, the times he thought nothing was happening, the silence he had mistaken for absence. And suddenly, a realization struck him like lightning. What if the silence was never neglect? What if it was trust? What if God had not removed the night because he was teaching him to see the light even within it? Tears filled his eyes again, but this time they weren't heavy. They were freeing. Jesus looked across the hillside, his voice steady, unshaken. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. And there it was again. The same truth, the same lesson, only the next step, not the whole journey, not the entire path, just today, just now, just trust. The traveler realized that everything he had gone through had been leading him here, to this moment, to this understanding, to him, because the morning he had been waiting for was never just a sunrise in the sky. It was a person. It was Jesus, the true light that no darkness can overcome. And here's the deeper truth, the one that changes everything. The light doesn't just guide you. It walks with you. Even when you can't feel it, even when you can't see it, even when you think you're alone, Jesus stepped forward and said one final thing that echoed in the traveler's heart. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Not temporary relief, not a moment of escape, but rest, the kind your soul has been searching for. The traveler didn't hesitate this time. He stepped forward, not because he had all the answers, but because he had found the truth. And from that moment on, the journey was no longer about finding the light. It was about following it. Now listen, because this is where the story meets you. Maybe you've been walking in your own night. Maybe you've been waiting for the morning. Maybe you've been asking, God, where are you? And maybe, just maybe, the answer is closer than you think, because Jesus is still saying the same words today. I am the light of the world. So the question is not, will the morning come? The question is, will you follow the light when it calls you? Because when you do, you won't just see the morning. You'll walk in it. And now the road grows quiet again. The traveler stands still, not because he is lost, but because he finally understands. All this time, he thought he was waiting for the morning. But the truth, the morning, was leading him here, to this moment, to this realization, to this peace. He looks back, just once. Back at the long road, the dark night, the place where he once sat, broken, afraid, ready to give up. And for a second, it almost feels unreal. How did I make it through? He whispers. And deep within, the answer rises, soft, steady, undeniable. You were never alone. Listen, I want you to feel this. Every tear you've cried, every night you've struggled to sleep, every moment you thought you wouldn't make it, God saw it. Every single one. Not from a distance, not in silence, but right there, beside you, even when you couldn't feel him. And here's the part most people don't realize. You're still here. After everything, you're still standing. That's not weakness. That's not luck. That's grace. The traveler turns forward again, and this time, he doesn't hesitate, because now he knows. The night didn't come to destroy him. It came to reveal the light, and the light never left. So if you're listening right now, and your heart feels heavy, if you're in a place where nothing makes sense, if you're tired of waiting, of hoping, of trying, listen, just for a moment. Don't give up now. Not here. Not when the morning is so close. I know it feels long. I know it feels endless. But you've made it through every dark night so far. And this one will not be the one that breaks you. Because the same God who carried the traveler through the darkness is carrying you right now. Even if you can't feel it, even if you don't see it, even if all you can do is take one more step. That's enough. You are closer than you think. The light is already rising, even if your eyes haven't seen it yet. So stay. Hold on. Keep walking. Because one day, very soon, you'll stand in your own morning and you'll realize that the night you feared the most was the one that brought you closest to God. And when that moment comes, you won't just feel relief. You'll feel peace. Deep, unshakable, eternal peace. Now, before you go, if this message touched your heart, if it reminded you that you are not alone, don't keep it to yourself. There is someone, somewhere, sitting in their darkest night right now, just waiting for a sign, a word, a light. Be that light. Share this message with them. And if you believe in hope, if you believe that light always overcomes darkness, then be part of this journey with us. Subscribe to Parables of Hope and walk with us as we continue to share stories that heal, that uplift, that bring you closer to God. Your support means more than you know. It helps us reach hearts that are hurting, souls that are searching, people who just need to hear. The morning is coming. Watch more from Parables of Hope. Let these stories strengthen your faith and remind you again and again, you are never alone. And before you leave, take this with you. No matter how long the night feels, no matter how heavy the darkness becomes, the light will always find you.